hella classic, Noah Ayala. Swift couldn't make it today because he had to go to the vet, I believe. But today is special, man. You see the title. You see who's up in here. If you're not too familiar, you're going to get even more familiar. But this is special because me and this man go back over 20 years. Right?
That's right. That's right. Over 20 years. Yeah. Fuck, yeah.
When I was a little kid.
Am I able to curse?
Yeah. We always say curse because it makes me feel more comfortable, man. Like, but no, I was gonna say, like, when I first got into DJing, there was only one other person, like, in my school that was really into, like, that wanted to get into DJing, and it's this man right here. I'll just get to it. Producer, Sir Veterano. I mean, he's produced for, like, everybody. If you a hip-hop head, you know what it is, and we're going to talk about the album. We're going to talk about his production. We're going to talk about all the people he's worked with. But first things first is that me and this man started out together. And when I say started out together, I mean in the bedroom. I'm going to put the picture up. In the bedroom. Like, not even knowing what beat matching was yet or anything. How you been, man? I'm gonna let you talk, but man, this is special right now. So,
yeah. Well, first of all, I can't believe that we even have it makes sense that we have a picture from that time, but I can't believe that I had it sitting in like an old shoebox. If you remember, I think the first time I busted it out was maybe like 8 years ago on like Facebook or something like that. And I remember seeing that shit. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we have like actual evidence, proof that this shit was going down like that. Oh my God. And yeah, I mean, you're not lying. I mean, not even exaggerating. Like, we started from the very, very beginning. I mean, we met as freshmen in high school, and I mean, I hadn't started anything with anything, you know. I haven't started making beats. I wasn't DJing. You weren't, you know what I mean? Like, we kind of just came into it like with the same interests, and I mean, that's really what started everything for I think both of us is learning in your mom's in your bedroom at your mom and pop's house, you know. I think it was like even like first semester. So it's not like we even really got into it. It was just like, oh, you like hip hop? Oh, I like hip hop.
Yeah.
I want to DJ. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And I mean, to your credit though, I mean, you had some family history, you know, already rolled in there. So for you, it was fairly easy because I mean, I'd go over there and you got like all these, I mean, again, we're going to go over all the details, but I mean, you had all the promo tapes, you had vinyl, you know, that you were getting from your brother, and you know, all that. That was just shocking for me. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it was cool for you, but you know, for me, I was like, oh my God, like this dude has a brother that's like in the music business, and he knows these people. I mean, shit, it was crazy.
Yeah, man. Damn, you're taking me back right now, man, to the Gemini XL10 belt drive turntables, man.
The Blue Dog? Did we have a Blue Dog?
I had a Blue Dog. Yeah, we had a Blue Dog in the mix, and then I eventually got the blue matching Newmark turntables.
You know, I do remember. I don't even know how to organize all these memories. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna kind of just go through them.
That's all good.
I remember that you and I used to listen to. Sorry, I got my cat walking around back here. But
good.
You and I used to make mixtapes, and then in the middle of the mixtapes, we would get, you know, like what's his name, Mixmaster Mike's, you know, record, and then we would blend it into the mix, and then we would be talking as if we were cutting. You remember that shit? You'd be like, okay, this is me right here. This is me right here. And it was really Mixmaster Mike, but we were pretending like we were that person that was cutting. And I remember that. And then I remember you got, I think you ended up getting a mixer. I don't know if it was a Newmark, but I remember it was the mixer that had like the transformer option on there. Do you remember anything like that? It's like if
I had before,
yeah.
because it took me a while to graduate to Techniques, and at the time it was a Vestex was like the pop-in mixers. So it took me like 4 or 5 years. I think it wasn't really till we graduated that I got like a real setup. But I remember having one mixer, and it didn't have the transformer switch, but it had the like pads that you hit and it transforms. So we'd be like,
there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
I remember that shit.
But that's where we learned all the foundations, man. That's where, like, you know, the love for the music first started. That's where, like, I think the real drive to get it done, because, like, we came from the 209, man. So it's like, my brother was in the game, but he wasn't in the game. Like, you know, like, I interviewed Swizz Beatz, and Swizz Beatz was talking about, you know, his uncle was like doing all this shit with like Puffy and DMX, and that's how he got in the game. And it's like, we didn't have shit like that, man. We were
not really.
Yeah. So, you know, to see, you know, after high school, we kind of went our separate ways. And then, you know, you went really, really into the beats. I went into the beats, but I also pursued like a radio broadcasting career on top of that. But just to see now, fast forward, man, and I saw you working with people along the way, and I know there was times along the way where like we would play beats for each other, and you know, you give me props. I definitely would give you props, and you were like, yo, I'm working with such and such. Who have you worked with? Like, name some people you worked with so people get an idea.
Well, so I mean, I remember the last time when we saw each other in person. I mean, it was quite, you know, some years ago, but at that time I was kind of in building up to like the highest that I got at that moment, which was when I was like ghost producing for certain people, and I still can't even reveal all those songs, but you know, it was a time where I was, you know, I had people from Aftermath reaching out to me, like to some A&Rs, and I was pitching songs to Diddy. When it was like, what was it, Danity Kane, if you remember them.
Shit, yeah, man.
Yeah, and so I had, you know, some songwriters and friends that were producers, and we were working on songs together. But I mean, as far as like the discography, I mean, I've kind of, it's been a weird journey, because I was working with people like Kool G Rap, and then I even did a song, you know, the first Slaughterhouse song. Scram Jones did the original beat, but I did the remix version of the beat. I mean, worked with him. I mean, Graph I've known forever. I had Planet Asia, Raz Kaz, back in the days. I remember Rocket from LA, you know, when he was coming up big. Shout out to the business, the production team, the business, because Dow Jones, he actually took me under his wing for a little bit of time. And he was getting me placements with people, you know, like with, you know, when I was on the come up, that was, like I said, that's where Rocket came from, E. White, you know, from the Snoop All Stars. Like he was giving me, you know, opportunities to work with cats. But then I started working my way up, and just, I mean, I think when I finally tapped out, when I was just like, you know what, I need to take a break from all of this, I was in the situation where I was getting calls from major labels. I was working with major artists, but not everything that we were working on was dropping. And I think that's where I kind of just like, you know what, let me get my shit in order. Let me figure out, because at that time, you know, I may have been working with some big cats, but all the expectations were there to try and, you know, make a steady income, and sometimes it wasn't that. And so I was like,
it was a weird period too, though, man. It was that transitional period between the CD era, and then I guess transitioning to what we have now, which is a streaming era. And I feel like we got caught up in that in a lot of ways.
That is so real, because I mean, like, even my expectations, by the time I got to that point where I was like, okay, I'm getting some placements on some things, it was around the height of the mixtape era. So it's like, I wasn't even getting publishing. You know what I mean? I wasn't getting, you know what I mean? Like, it would be like, okay, you're just lucky enough to get on, or sometimes I would get paid. but it was more like building up my own, you know, catalog. So I could say I worked with these people. And because of that, we kind of got, like you said, it was right in the middle of this transition from like hard copy, old ways of doing music in the new version. And the new ways made it easier for us, at least for myself, to work with more people. But the hard part about that is the relationships weren't always as solid, because they're kind of just like, oh, I'm getting beats from so and so, like whatever, you know. And it was hard. It was hard to transition, I think. But I was in a good position, though. I had some good people around me that were really looking out for me, and I kind of had proven myself, you know, at least to the people behind the scenes. You know, the fans never fully got to hear everything that I did, but to the people that could get me into the door and the people that were cutting the checks, they knew who I was. And so it was kind of a mixed bag. You know, I got to have records come out, but then a lot of stuff just kind of just sat there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that kind of like got me too, is because like I did so many records that nobody will never hear.
Right.
And, you know, I used to look at you and admire you so much because I was like, man, this motherfucker got songs with everybody. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, now that we're older, we tell these stories and it's like, man, we were both like, it's the same thing. And it's to the point where like I took a huge break from production and honestly just got back into it. And a lot of that was seeing you, man. And like other producers I know, like still on their grind. And it's like, oh, okay, let me get on some of these beats. So, you know, I got some shit coming out too. But
yeah,
it's just dope to see how you just stayed with it. And
well, you know,
the progression.
Right. I mean, like we're in a different era now. At least I feel I'm in a different place. I mean, I've been married for, don't want to get it wrong, 7 years now.
Yep.
7 years. You know, I've been a homeowner, proudly a homeowner for like the last 3 years, I think. So like shit is just different now for us. But I mean, like back in the days, I mean, we all still kind of go through it. It's like the ebbs and flows of this industry can just really weigh you down. And the good thing though about this music business is you could be away from making beats for 8 years and you could come back and you still know some of the same people. You could still get plugged in. I mean, you are pretty well plugged in to everyone that you would want to get in contact with. It's all about, you know, what do you feel inside?
Right.
Well, you know what I wanted to say though is to brag on you for a little bit is I think I don't remember anyone else during that period, especially earlier on, anyone else that had a focus of what they truly wanted to do. I mean, I don't think that there was any question as to like what you wanted to do, and I didn't get a set up until later. You know, I got a job at McDonald's and I was able to get some tax in the 06 and, you know, but, you know, I had to save up for that. But I wasn't sure I wanted to take it like completely serious. Right. I just had fun doing it and I got pretty good at it. We both came up, but you knew exactly what you wanted to do. I remember you would come to school with your track list of something that you put together, be like, check this out. Like we would be in wood shop or something like that. And then we'd be in wood shop and you'd come through with a track listing written down like in your binder or some shit like that. Be like, yeah, I'm going to blend this with this and that. And I'm just like, okay, that's what's up. And then, you know, like when I get out to your house, you know, we'll put it all together. But from freshman year, you stayed with it. And it was a focus that I know that when I see people that know what they want now, it was the same focus that you had back then about what you're doing right now. Because it wasn't even like back in the days, it wasn't even like you just wanted to like mix songs or like cut. I was more into like the cutting and then, you know, maybe rock some parties, but you wanted to be a host because you would be on there like talking all the time. You're the one that talked into the mic when we were, you know, mixing. And lo and behold, you know, after high school, you go, if I remember correctly, you went to like a media school.
Yeah, I went to broadcasting school, man, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And now you're here at K-Day. I know you were over here in Stockton in the beginning. You
Oh,
know,
my first job, man. My first
hey, man,
job.
that was so ill for me because, like, you know, even though we hadn't been speaking to each other because we had a falling out, you know, for no
For
logical
dumb
reason.
high school shit. I was gonna get to that too, because I feel like that's an important thing to highlight, man. Because it just happened, but it was no reason for it. It was just dumb shit.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But I remember like hearing you on K-Win, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker. Like, cause I remember one time you told me something, and I'm just gonna touch a little bit on the beef. I remember you
Yeah,
told
let's
me
get into
like,
it now.
I
Fuck
will.
it, man.
What'd you say?
Let's get into it now, man, since we're here, because it's gonna be funny.
So okay, so well, let's. I don't know when it started. To be honest, I actually don't know why or how it started. I remember that we were DJing. We spent a lot of time together. And then I had some other friends that were older that they like DJing too, and they had a setup and shit. And I was just like, okay, cool. So like after school, I would go over to their house, and then I'd be mixing. I was learning mixing over there, and then I'd go and hang out with you on other days. And then I don't know what it was. I don't know if friends in high school. I can't honestly, I don't know because the only thing I could put together
remember, and I only remembered in you telling that story right now because it just randomly came to me. I swear to God. And this wasn't the reason. I think this was the start of it though, because remember you wanted a pair of yellow Adidas, the yellow shell toe Adidas.
I don't know. I remember I wanted Adidas
with yellow stripes. And you were like, dude, these shoes are
okay, so I wanted them.
Like, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. And then like, I knew you were gonna get them, but you haven't got them yet. So I happened to be at the store with my mom, and we walked past Foot Locker, and I see them, and I end up convincing her to get me a pair. And then I come to school like a couple of days later, rocking some fresh ass Adidas. And
oh my God.
You had every right to look at me sideways because that was some shady ass shit. It's like, come on, fam, what are you doing? And I was wrong. And I don't think it was like full-fledged beef, but I think that's kind of like where just like two adolescent high school children just start like, oh, he's whack. And then back then it's all about biting and oh, I mean, he's trying to bite me, whatever. So, I mean, I was wrong. But again, it was so stupid. And I think the dumbest part about it was that even though like we're so similar, we started together, we had so many in the same interest, and we're doing the exact same thing, it caused us to not talk for a number of years. And that I think is the wackest shit. But I mean,
yeah, I mean, see, I don't even remember that, but I could see that because once high school starts and you get some new friends, you feel yourself a little bit, and then you be like, oh, whatever. And those little minor things, when you don't know how to deal with people, those things turn into big things, and it's all over something stupid. So, I mean,
sorry to cut you off, but there's another part that I'll keep it super real with. And I think back then, you went and you hung out with your new friends, and then I look up a summer later, and it's like, you're doing crazy ass crabs and juggles and fucking, I don't know, the dilated record that worked, the angles, you bringing it back and doing all types of crazy, just crazy shit that back then I didn't know how to do. And I was just like, holy shit. So I think a lot of it was just like jealousy too, to be on my end, to be honest with you, just being a kid and not knowing no better,
Well, I mean, I guess that all could very well be true. I remember, well, here's the other thing. Even my own friends that I was DJing with, they started to get upset with me because I would be at their place all the time. And then when I got my setup, I wasn't over at their place all the time. So right. They'd be like, oh, so you get your turntables and you just leave. And so even back then for myself, maybe I was being selfish and not being communal, because once I had this interest, I just ran with it.
The same way you said I was focused earlier, you were focused, and that's what made you so good. And that's why, like, it is what it is. And like back then, I couldn't recognize that how I recognize it now. It's like, you know, a grown man, 35 years old, I can look and be like, okay, that was just a focus. He was getting his grind on. He was in the lab. He was cooking. He was doing what he had to do to be who he is today. And
Right.
you know, and I had the same thing, but it's just like, that's what it was back then, you know.
Well,
So
I remember. No, that's real. That's real. And I remember though. I remember feeling. I even remember feeling ganged up on by you because you had a lot of friends in high school. Well, we all had like a lot of friends, but you had a lot of people that rolled with you. And I had like people that graduated out of high school that I was friends with. So I was a lot of times on an island by myself. And then I'd be DJing in the courtyard and you come by and be like, whatever. And then you have like all the homies laughing at me and shit. You know what I mean? I'm like,
fucking hater, man.
Like, I feel like shit. I mean, like, damn, you know, there's no one that had my back, and I was even just trying to come up a little bit. So yeah. I understand what the whole thing was. At some point, you get people in your ear, and then you just, you know, and the shit just like that just happens. But the main thing, though, is that, you know, I think that we were kids, we were growing up, and we were interested in the same thing, and somehow the unity of what hip hop is supposed to be kind of escaped us. And it was more of just like, oh, you know, if anything, it was probably the most hip hop thing we could have done, because it was like, you got your crew, I got my crew, you know, I'm the DJ, you're the DJ, and you got your boys in the back, I got mine. And it was kind of like that. In some ways, it was the most real shit ever, you know?
I don't want people to get it twisted. Like you were good. You were fucking dope, dude, because you were focused and you were clean. And like, I remember all that shit. Like, it's like, dude, this motherfucker's good, dude. So in a lot of ways, it put the battery in my back. Like, I got to go hard. And I needed that because I years later moved to Southern California, and then most motherfuckers in Stockton were fucking trash compared to, like, you know, meeting some of the beat junkies and the DJ Revolutions and like Ever and Swift and all these guys. So, I mean, I needed what she was giving me anyway. So it was very hip hop though. Just like, I'm in my B-boy stance in the corner, you in the corner with your folks. Like, it was pretty dope though, man. Like, looking back at it, I don't know if I'd have it any other way. I mean, except the extended period of time, like without talking. But other than that, it's like, I gave us all of our foundation, I feel like.
No, that's real. And you know, and I got to, again, I want to compliment you again. I think you, again, so focused, and you I mean, you know, back in the days, you know, everyone would do this. And even like, I guess, even now you just fuck with some of your friends like, oh, you're not up on this. Like, you had a high IQ of hip hop, something that I learned going through your collection and the stuff that you would have at your house. You know, like, I don't know how you were getting, I know that you were getting it from your brother, and you'd be like, oh yeah, my brother's friend is a DJ for so-and-so, and he just got crates in the hallway all day. And you know, so I'm able to get some stuff from him. So you were learning, but I was learning from you and the stuff that you were bringing to the table. Because I mean, I didn't know who the Alcoholics were until I went over to your spot and you had the damn remix cassettes, and I was just like, the Alcoholics, okay, what's this? And we play it and we like, oh shit. I mean, you're the first one that had the Eminem's CD. Which one was it? It was a promo CD.
It was Just Don't Give a Fuck single, I think.
That's right. Yeah. It was right in the beginning, and you know, we were still learning, you know, what the Wake Up Show was, and be like, oh yeah, that's that dude from the thing, and now he signed to Dre. I mean, shit, man. Like, but you know, the main thing that I was trying to say is that you had a high IQ for this hip hop shit in the very beginning, and that was something that I learned from you, without a doubt. I mean, I didn't even know who Mos Def was. You know, like, so many people I learned about during that time. And just to let everybody know, this was in 97. And you know, we were right. So we were both like hip hop fans, you know, because I knew who Tribe was in 8th grade, and then I came in with, that's when I started falling in love with like East Coast music, because you know, we're on the West, and I know Sibo, and you know, I mean, I know Tupac, you know, all that shit.
I used to get made fun of, like in middle school and high school, for liking like Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang Clan and Group Home and.
Yeah.
So when I met Sir Veterano, I was like, oh, finally someone who likes the same shit I like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing that we both had the same ear for stuff, and it made it so much easier to I don't know. I mean, like, I think just like anyone in high school, some people like, you know, chemistry, and they find other people that like chemistry, and, you know, whatever it is, our thing was hip hop. And at that moment, it was very rooted in East Coast hip hop. I mean, you had posters on your wall. I remember you had the Rat Assassination poster, if I remember correctly, on the wall. You had the DMX.
Man, you remember stuff I don't even remember, man.
Bruh. So I remember you had a room next door to your room, which was, I think it was just empty, or just stuff was in there or something. Mm-hmm. But I remember you had posters in that room. It was, you had a DMX, the Darkman X? That was the first DMX album.
Dark and Hell is Hot? Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. So you had that, and then you had a tour poster of, it was like Onyx. Do you remember this poster?
Dude, I like, when you say it makes me vaguely remember certain things, but you're telling me shit right now, I'm like, oh yeah.
So, well, that's the good thing about other people's perspective. Yeah. And they'll tell you, they'll remind you of shit. So I remember you had a poster of it was like a promo poster for a tour, and it was like Onyx, it was like DMX, and like somebody else. I don't want to mess it up, but it was like 3 different,
like Death Squad or somebody. You're like,
yeah,
that's when they were doing all that.
Yeah, no, that's real. Yeah, I remember that, and I just remember going to your house. It was just a house full of memorabilia of hip hop. It was fun to be over there, dude.
Dude, you know what sucks is I lost a lot of that shit. Some of it I have, like the tapes and everything I still have. All my vinyl I still have, but a lot of that shit I lost. And I'm like, oh.
You know what vinyl I do have that you gave to me is Supernatural. The one. Why am I escaping the
Buddha Blessing?
Buddha Blessing? Yeah, the Buddha Blessings. Yeah. You gave me that shit, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna cherish this fucking record, and I still have it somewhere in my crates. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. All right, so hold on. Now we gotta talk about the music, because we're going down memory lane. But you just dropped the album The Gathering.
Yeah.
It got man, I listened through it so many times. It got Murs on there, MC8 on there. It got Planet Asia on there. There's so many. I'll let you say it because there's so many people. I don't want to forget somebody or like leave out a detail.
Oh, well.
Talk to me about this album, man.
Now I'm worried that I'm going to leave people out, because there's so many cats that were on there. I mean, like,
yeah.
So, but, you know, let me just give a little bit of history as to how the album came about. So just to let everybody know, I was heavily working in the music business in the late 2000s, and around like 2010, 2011, that's when I started tapering off. I had just met my girl, and, you know, I took more interest in that, and I was burnt out from the music business. So I took.
Same thing happened to me this exact same year, man.
Oh shit, yeah. Who knows what the fuck it was? But you know, for you. But well, what did you kind of?
I was just burnt out. It's like from a radio standpoint, I was tired of moving. I didn't realize when I first got into radio in my at 18 that a lot of times radio required so much movement. And when you're in radio, like your main goal is to be either in New York or LA. That's like the major leagues. Mm. Everything else is bullshit. So I'm moving around,
right.
You know, and I finally catch a break. So I'm in Vegas, and I finally catch a break, and I get hired in San Diego, right? And I'm like, okay, dope. San Diego's not a major market, but it's a big market compared to, you know, Vegas and all these other markets I was in. So I get hired in Vegas. My first paycheck, it bounces, dude. In San Diego, I mean. And I love San Diego, the city, everything, man. It was beautiful living out there. But it bounces. And then I come to find out, like, this company is doing all this illegal shit, and there's a, you know, they got ties like with like people in Mexico and they're going out of business.
Oh,
I just got shit bounces. So I'm at a crossroads and I'm just like, yo, man, I know on the outside, everybody's looking at it like, oh man, you must be making money. You're around artists all the time, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, yo, man, at the time I was 24, 25. I was like, I see my friends like finally like graduating college and like getting good jobs and meeting the love of their life and all that stupid shit that like you realize everyone has their own path, but you don't know that back then. So I'm just looking at all this around me and I'm just burnt out on radio. And then that check bounces and I'm like, fuck this shit, man. I'm getting out of music completely. Like I don't, and you know, that sounds crazy. You hearing me say that, but I just couldn't do it no more, man. And it was around 2010, 2011. And I really got out the game for like 3-4 years, man. And then, but the one thing though, I always paid attention. So even though I was out the game, I did notice that there was something called podcasts popping up. I noticed just like YouTube really starting to like grow and rise and people getting partnered. So I always paid attention, but I couldn't do it no more, man. Like, I was like, yo, let me go back to school, learn something else, whatever. Yeah. And then eventually I realized that like, I really, really missed it and I wanted to be back in it, but it just took a while, man. But then I think the difference is, and probably you have a similar story, after I did take that break, there got a point where I was like broke because I wasn't working because all I know how to do is like music shit. So I had to sell. So, okay, I'll give the abbreviated version. One day we'll go super deep, right? So I want to say 2011, I had to move back in with my parents, dude, which is, I've lived by myself since 18 years old, man. Oh, it was a fucking nightmare. And to make it worse, they retired and moved to motherfucking Colorado. So it's snowing, it's cold.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I'm broke. I moved back here with my parents. So I was there a couple of months, and then one day I like look up, and you know, I'm still deciding what I want to do because I'm not committed to the music yet, or to DJing, to radio, to anything. Like I'm, it's like a breakup with a girlfriend. You're just angry. You know what I mean? So, but I knew that I could not stand living with my mom and my dad. Like, oh, I gotta get the fuck out of here, man. So I look up one day and like I started looking at some of my my turntables, my instruments, drums.
Yeah.
I sold everything.
Shit.
Everything. And then I packed up everything I could fit in my car, drove out to California, and then just figured it out. So that was probably like 2012 by then. And I mean, I got stories, but I had to figure it out. But I think this time, because like I had to figure it out on my own, I couldn't rely on mommy and daddy. I didn't have the safety net I've been used to. Because and you might remember this, I was a spoiled brat back in the day. But then when my parents,
you were the only kid in the house, you know.
But that allowed me to be spoiled in a lot of ways and not take the responsibility a lot of my friends had. And
gotcha.
So you grow up a certain way and you expect that. And I had a relatively good job at a young age.
Right.
So I really didn't know like what anything was. So when you strip that away and it's like, oh no, nigga, this shit is over. Like, and you thinking you're gonna keep doing what you're doing, and that's how you get by, then you got to trip. The economy crashes.
Oh, fuck,
so for our age group, that was a really big deal for a lot of us because it affected a lot of us in a lot of ways. So I had to start all over, really start from scratch. So the beauty of it was that I was older and I was more mature, and and I paid attention the whole time. I never stopped paying attention. So really, I didn't realize it at the time, but I went back to school in a lot of ways. Just not how I thought I was going back to school. So whereas the young Noah had talent, but this older Noah knew how to strategize and could map things out and understood where the industry was going and where I should be at in relation to that. So I was able to get back in radio because I still had the relationships. And then from there, it was just like, it was just progress, like in a way I've never seen. And, you know, you look back like 7 years later and it's like, oh, damn, man. Like that was kind of crazy how that happened. And it's still progress. And it's still like, you know, this it's every day in, day out grind.
But the good thing is it's kind of like, if you know, I believe I'm quoting the right person here, but it was something about like Michael Jordan when he would play, he would see the game as if he were hovering over himself, and he could see all the pieces and where he's going to go and map it out. That's kind of like how it is, how I feel now, and I know that's probably it's basically what you're saying is that once you stay away from it and you mature, you do things in a different way, and you're more responsible. Then you start to feel like, okay, I'm no longer just pushing blindly just to get in.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, now I got to strategize, and I know how to do that now because I have the skills to do it, and what it takes to really, really do it. And no, I mean, that's a life lesson that everybody has to learn at some point. And it sounds like, you know, maybe we both kind of learned that at the same time. I mean, I'm glad to hear it that you kept pushing forward. You know, like you said, you kept paying attention. I can't say that I did the same thing, but for what you were doing, yeah, you had to be up on it and see what was popping, because I can't imagine a DJ, especially, not knowing what anything is and just going to art for 2 years. I mean, like, artists could have come up and went away within that time frame.
That's the other thing too, man. It was a whole, if you thought the difference in sound from 2000 to 2010 was different, by the time we got to the 2010s, you know, I'm over 30 now, and I don't even know where I fit in with the music anymore. You know? So it's like you have to figure all that out because you don't know.
Yeah.
We're producers. So like I ain't never went past like 105 on my metronome up until like then, you know? Now I'm like at 130, 140, 150, 160. And it's like, where do you fit in? But I'm curious to know, so you said you took the break like I did.
Yeah.
How'd you get back in it? And like, what was that?
Right. So I feel like, okay, so similar to you, I took a break. I had my reasons were a little bit different, but the results were the same. It was taking a break and you know, just trying to figure things out. Like just similar to you, I was kind of like bouncing back and forth from San Francisco to my mom's, to San Francisco to my mom's, and then like entertaining the idea of moving to Florida because my boy knew Scott Storch and I could work with him out, and I was just like, like this is crazy. So I met my girl and I had a reason to get my shit together. So that's basically what I did for so many years. I ended up getting like a 9-to-5 job, a job that I have right now, which I'm so grateful for. I mean, I'm doing this interview as I'm working. So, yeah. So, you know, I found a job that works good for me in what I do, because it allows me to have the flexibility to continue to work on music and then work remotely from my house and, you know, all that shit. So those things were important to me, to get my life in order. And I didn't want to be the person, and I've told this a couple times now recently, but I didn't want to be the person sleeping on a mattress in downtown San Francisco, living, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like paying a shit ton of money just to be in San Francisco. I was like, I think I'm over this. I think I'm kind of just like done with trying to be in the inn and be around all of this. I was like, fuck all that. I'd rather go back to where I came from, get a proper apartment, have a girl, have car insurance, have all these things that you know you want. As a grown-ass man, I was like, fuck this. So I saw something better, and I was out of the music business. I mean, I still tinkered around a little bit, but I mean, I wasn't talking to anybody really, you know. It was just me working at the house, and I don't think that I don't think the timing was right for me to come back anyway, because I wanted to get my life figured out, and that was my top priority, is to be a good partner to my wife. And, you know, like that's been my priority throughout the 2010s, the entire time. And so it wasn't until maybe like 2015 when it all kind of synced in together. I didn't own a home yet, but I was married. I got this job. It was paying me, you know, paying me pretty well, and everything was starting to flow. And you know, like many things in life, if your mind isn't right, if your life is chaotic, then the product, the way that you go about your business, it's all going to be fucked. So,
100%, man.
so yeah, so I had to figure that out the hard way to get all these pieces to work together. And it wasn't until like I really, you know, I bought my house, and then the job was, everything was sinking in. And then it allowed me to receive the old things that I used to love. You know what I mean? So it was the music business that came back immediately. And so the way that it worked was I hit up my old manager, who would check in on me every single year. He'd be like, "Hey, what are you trying to do?" I'm like, "Man, I'm not trying to do any of that." He's like, "Okay, well,
Walt 427.
we're talking about Walt Liquor. Shout out to Walt Liquor. I know you know Walt really well, and you know, that's my dude." And so I reached out to him and his boy, Qua, who he's a boutique clothing shop owner in San Diego. It's called the Fresh Yard. It's pretty popular down there. And so he wanted to get into the music business. And so I hit them both up. I said, "Look, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. I'm just letting you guys know that I'm working on music again. And maybe in the future, you know, maybe we'll cross paths, and, you know, we could figure out something to do or something." Well, I mean, immediately when I hit him up, Qua specifically hit me back. He's like, "Well, let's do something. Let's do something." Like, he was already ready to go. Like, he was waiting in the wings for me to send this email, apparently, because he was like, "Lo, let's do this." And this was in late, what year are we in? 2020. This was in like December of 2018. And so it wasn't even more than like a month and a half before we already had one song recorded for the album. And it was the Mitchie Slick song, "My Shoes," and that shit was done like a month later, and that just gave me everything I needed everything I needed to know that I still had it, B, that I love this feeling of making records with talented people. And from there, it was on. The entire 2019, it was just doing multiple records and working on side projects, which, you know, they're going to be coming out this year. But like, it was everything that I wanted it to be, because before I really didn't like the idea of trying to be heard for someone else's album. And sometimes, you know, like it's a much harder road,
right?
Because you got to know the right people to be heard. You know, it doesn't mean that you're going to get an album placement, but it's hard enough just to be heard. And I had been beating my head up against the wall just trying to know the right people. And I knew some of the right people, but not everyone that I wanted to. And so I'm looking at all my colleagues back in the day, like, you know, like Frank Dukes and Illmind, and, you know, we all came up together, we're all friends, and they had visions of what they wanted to do. They wanted to bust into, you know, the mainstream. And lo and behold, they did. You know, they're working with everyone in the world, but that wasn't the direction for me. So it was difficult for me back in the day. And by the time I jumped back into it, when we're doing this album, I was like, you know, if we're gonna do this, I don't want to play any of these old games that you know, I would try and do before. I want to do what I want to do. And if you can give me the opportunity to put together a project of something that I truly love, something that would make Noah Ayala and Eric in 1997 proud, then that's what I want to do.
Hell yeah.
And that's exactly what it is, because the album, it's not, you know, there are OGs on there. Like you said, it's Razkaz, it's Bishop, it's Murs, you know, I got Fashawn on there, MC8, Mitchie Slick, Planet Asia, Fat Cat, Guilty Simpson, MED, Casual, fucking, even Walt's on there, 427. He's the last song on there.
Last song, yeah.
Guilty.
No, I was just saying,
well.
like,
what's that?
No, I was just saying he's on the last song. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy because it's like I saw the album drop, and I saw you working on it, I guess, up until then too. And then even throughout the years, I'd see videos, but just to see the response it's gotten, to see like Shade 45 pick it up and then like everybody shouting it out, and it's just like, oh shit, like my boy Eric ain't Eric no more. Like he belongs to the world now. Like this gift belongs to the world now. Like it's just dope to see, man.
Well, I mean, like as I was putting it together, I mean, I could tell that we were putting something together that was really going to go over well for the hip hop heads. It was just about, are they even going to hear it? You know, it's like we had money for promo and we're still in the middle of doing that and music videos and shit. But, you know, to me, it was like, it was a validation to get the response, the validation that I'm not completely garbage. You know,
nah, you get better with time. That's the beauty of it, man.
Well, you know, I wanted to make sure that because if I'm going to come back after all this time, I have to do something at least some way halfway decent. I can't, well, it doesn't, no, it has to be at least pretty good. It can't be, you know, decent. You know, I just like, I got to do something, and I got to do something that I know that is true to me. Lyricism, hard beats, that stuff that really, that used to get to us back in the day. And so, now to hear that, you know, I mean, like, okay, so DJ Premier, he picked it up. I have no idea how he got the record. I still don't know to this day. It may have been that MC8 posted it and then he found it, or I don't know exactly, because I have a publicist that, you know, that could serve, you know, certain places, but DJ Premier doesn't work that way. Once he hears it, he comes upon it himself, and if he likes it, he'll play it. So DJ Premier played the song. I didn't even know until Shade 45 tagged me on their Instagram, like, okay, you know, with the song Reputable with MCA. And so this was like, you know, like 2.5 weeks later. And so I was on the freeway freaking out. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And like, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, like the thing that was going through my head is like, can you imagine us as kids having DJ Premier play a song that was made in my hometown? You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Are we there?
Yeah, we're there. We're here. We're good.
Okay, yeah, something happened. But so I'm like on the local freeway, and I'm getting this. I was like, holy shit! Like I was shaking. I was honestly shaking when that shit happened, because I never got like love like that, you know. So it was the beginning of a beautiful thing, and I mean, I'm just so grateful that it's gotten the response that it's gotten. I mean, like Lord Sear to the Wake Up Show, like I'm, you know, they're showing me love. You heard Static play?
Yep. I'm pretty sure on Twitch, yeah. He played that shit like the other day.
God damn it. See, I don't even know these things, but you
know,
man. They're just crazy, you know, like
that's what I'm saying. Like you belong to the world now, man. Like it ain't a secret no more. Like it's like you are like,
yeah.
You belong to these streets, man.
You know, I think, and you know, the beauty of it all is that I'm doing it with the team that I love. You know, it's just me, Walt, and Quad. That's our team, and we have a publicist, and you know, but you know, that's our team, and I get to do the thing that I love to do with the people that I love, and you know, and get love from people that I grew up and admired my entire life. Like it's all a new experience. I mean, before, I mean, I did stuff before. I was on the phone with you know, people that were somebody at the time, but you know, it was a different time. It was to get the kind of I think what's important now is to do the thing that I've always wanted to do, and to get this kind of response is everything to me. I mean, quite honestly, like it's, I got to curate the album, you know what I mean? I got to get my hands on it the whole way through. And that's something that I was never able to do, because you're fitting someone else's vision.
Right.
You know, when you're selling a beat or getting a beat on something, that's someone else's shit, you know? It's like, and that's a beautiful thing. But to be able to do it yourself with a good team, and to get that kind of response, I'm just overwhelmed. I mean,
what,
like, you know,
what songs make you the most proud? Like, I know it's probably gonna be hard to ask you your favorite song, and it's kind of a cliche question, but like, what songs do you listen to when you're like, as a producer, as an artist, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, that shows my growth. That really shows like what I'm capable of or what I can do.
Oh shit, that's a you really are throwing throwing one at me. It's um I well first of all let me just say that every song, like if you listen to the album, like it there are various different styles. I mean all so like I wanted to I quite honestly when I first was putting it together, I wanted to do something like a sound bombing too.
Right.
Like that. I mean, that album was just fucking crazy to me. Um,
Both one
and
of my
and
favorite
so,
albums of all time, man.
dude, I mean, like,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing too. We came up on compilations back in the
Yeah.
day. I mean, that was everything for us.
Yeah.
So when I, like when I got it, so when I started like making music, like all I wanted to do was like a compilation of various different artists because that's what I came up with, and I absolutely love it. So I wanted to do something like that at the beginning. Of course, things change, but I wanted to have a variety of different things going on. And so one of the songs that I like, well, first of all, let me just tell you this. This is probably all across the board. There are virtually no samples on this entire album. The only songs that have samples are the ones that are the most obvious. It's
Right.
the Diadora, the one with Asia.
That was hard, man. That shit is hard.
Thank you. Actually, that was a sample that I've had since like 2002, and I made a different beat with it back in the days, and then I decided to fire up my old hard drive that I happen to still have to see if there's any like good drums. This is when I was still like trying to put my arsenal together. It's like, okay, let me find my old drums and shit, and then I found that sample. I was like, okay, I'm gonna use that for something. So it's that one. The Mitchie Slick song has a sample. It's the old Bob James Nautilus sample. I made that beat specifically for him because I wanted to hear him on Mitchie on a like on a hip like a East Coast kind of like hard hip hop shit. I was like, well, let me bring this ultra West Coast dude and put him on some classic hip hop shit. It might work out. So that one, and then the last song with Walt, that has a sample, but everything else was all original work. And so that in itself shows my growth. I've always been someone that's been able to like create from scratch. But I really wanted to flex my muscles on this and to try to make it sound like it was a sample, or if it clearly doesn't sound like a sample, at least you wouldn't focus on it like, oh, he's just playing that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got to muddy it all up, So one of the songs that I've gotten a lot of good feedback from as far as like the instrumental and the beat itself is the Murs song. And
I was gonna say that was my favorite one so far, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Murs song, like when I was putting beats together for Murs, I was like, I wanna like this whole theme of this album, the whole thing is like it's gotta be hard, it's gotta take me back a bit. So I was like, let me do this beat with get some like simple drums, but then have a really elaborate bass line, but some of that old like Black Moon kind of just like that hard, just bass drums and maybe like a horn, like with a delay on it or something, So I was like, I got to do something like that to satisfy my hunger to get that out. But it's that beat, and I really like the Guilty Simpson beat. I got a lot of feedback from that beat because I mean, again, all of it is played out, and it's a different vibe from the rest of the album, in my opinion. It just has like a kind of like it's the drums are different, the bass, the slap wah bass that I was playing out, like it has a different vibe to it, and I liked that I was able to be a little bit abstract on that beat because especially like with like hip hop heads, they want to hear the knock. They want like boom, smack. But like they need that hard shit. And so I had to work within the realm of that. And I was able to make something that's just a little bit off to flex some of those skills. And so I was happy to be able to do that.
Well, hey man, you got a great album, man. Like honestly. So congrats. You said you got some other shit coming out. What you got on the way soon?
So fuck, I there are things that I want to tease so badly because again, I finished this album last year. Like it's been done.
Oh, so yeah.
So
We'll talk behind the scenes because
yeah.
there's some things, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, oh god. But I do have some various albums that I've been working on. One which is basically done. The artist in particular has already shot a video for it, and we're still mixing it down. But that one's gonna be crazy. It's someone from the album, and it's gonna be based like the whole concept is a West Coast funk, like a real West Coast funk kind of album. And so it's like 80s influence mixed with fucking like Zapp and Roger, and it's all sampleless, and that one's gonna be a fucking jam. But what I can tease is we're gonna do a deluxe of the album, and we're actually in the middle of it right now. I have some songs already done, just sitting over here on my work computer. It's gonna have one person that's gonna be on it is Bishop Lamont. I got in contact with Bishop Lamont towards the end of this album, so there wasn't any more. I couldn't get him in anywhere else because we were basically already done. But he's gonna have a full song on it, and some other people that you'll remember from back in the day. So
okay.
So that's what we're working on right now. Because I could do this all day, and the fact that my label's allowing me to just keep going, be like, look, people are really responding. Let's just keep it going. Let's do a deluxe version of it. We're like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So,
well, hey man, let me know because I gotta. Being that we're all on lockdown and quarantine still out here, I got a full studio set up at my house now too. So I mean, I'm just sitting here knocking shit out all day. So you need some cuts,
nice.
Whatever. Let me know, man. Cause I know we missed
Absolutely.
that one song. So.
Yeah. We try to make it happen for one song, but the scheduling was off. But always I want Noah Ayala and Sir Veterano on something. Like, you know what I mean? Like
even if we do like a collab song, like maybe the beat switches up in the middle. I don't know, like something. We got to think of something just like creative, man. And I'll fucking blow that shit up out here, dude. So.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. All day. That would make it full circle for me if we did that. If we did that, man.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, we definitely got to do a part 2 because we've been on here over an hour, and I got so many more questions. There's so many more stories. Like, so just know there's gonna be a part 2. There's gonna be a part 3. Whenever you drop something, this is going on YouTube, but you definitely have a home on YouTube and on the radio with me. So you already know what that is, man. Like,
hey, that's all love, man. I'm humbled. I'm glad that more importantly, I'm just glad that I'm able to just, we're able to still talk. You know what I mean? And
I'm glad that we're able to talk, but you're doing good. You're healthy. Like, because you start to think about this shit now, man. And it's like, it's just good to see because a lot of people in this game, a lot of people didn't make it out their 20s, man. And that shit is sad to see, man. Like, for various reasons, you know? And it's just like, damn.
I know because at some point it becomes about taking care of yourself and that's just what it is. I mean, you even looking at the big homie MC8's IG. I mean, he's going out for walks and shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's about. Take care of yourself. So I mean, like, we're all going through the same shit. I'm 36. I'm about to turn 37. Like, it ain't the same anymore. It's like we got to be healthy and take care of each other so that we could still keep working on stuff. You know what I mean? So, and I'm very happy to see that you're doing well. I mean, to be on K-Day, I mean, I can't even imagine like when that first hit.
It's dope, man. It's pretty dope. It's just the heritage of it and being able to just pretty much especially for me, I get to just play whatever. Not everybody has that as much luxury or as much pull or leeway, but like you kind of earn it, after a while. Like when they know you're official and you really did this, because
Right.
Man, a lot of people in this game, you'll be surprised how many people in the radio game aren't really hip hop heads. They're like radio heads, or they're
right.
They're there because they want the cool look. But you know, there's a portion of us that are like, nah, man, we love music. Like, we really DJ, we really produce, we're really like in the culture out here doing this, man. Like, trying to create the stories people are reporting on. You know, so it's kind of both. So it's like, you know, but yeah, we got to definitely do this again, man. Because
well,
this is like go all day.
I mean, yeah, this could be a podcast. But what I want to do, but you know, we need to get up in person too, because you know things are slowly starting to open up. But you know, we need to get up and just kick it. You know what I mean? Like, social distance, be responsible. You know, but let's.
Hold on. I'm gonna wrap this up and then I'm gonna stop this and then I'm gonna chop it up.
Okay, my bad.
Hey man, Sir Veterano, The Gathering, the album, it's available everywhere. So get that. I promise you, if you are a hip hop head, and you gotta be if you're watching my channel, then I know you're gonna like this shit, man, because the shit is slapping, and very good work, my friend. Very, very good work.